Recording. We're recording again, live from Studios B3. I'm Spencer Brinkerhoff III. See how it makes the SB3? We are continuing again, and as you can see from my background here, it's not a green screen for our guest who only sees a green screen. It says Star Wars Celebration Orlando 2017. We're continuing on with our series as we're talking to the artists who are involved in the art show for this year's Star Wars Celebration. And today we're continuing with Jake Murray. Jake, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, man.
I'm pretty excited to talk to you. I don't think that we've had a whole lot of opportunities to just sit down and chat. We haven't done an interview like this before, have we?
No, and I mean, at my first celebration, which was Anaheim,
Right,
we really didn't get much of a chance to
right,
to chat. Like we
right.
kind of met in passing a lot, and it was crazy. It was
Well,
a lot of crazy.
and that's the thing is that Celebration Anaheim was a colossal show, and if for nothing else, it really it had Star Wars: The Force Awakens was all over the place there, and and when they call it a celebration, you could feel everyone was there celebrating, and it was quite a wild time. And that was your very first Star Wars celebration.
Yeah, yeah. That was my first year,
Nice. Let
and
me let me switch my screen really quick, and I'll show off your artwork for this year's celebration just a little bit. So I've got a split screen with you on you on one side and the image on the other one. And as we're talking about this being your second Star Wars art piece, official Star Wars art piece, I wanted you to tell everybody a little bit about the process for being part of the art show. Now, what do you have to do to be able to get into this show? Do you know very much about the process, or what was the process like from your perspective?
I mean, so the first way I even really heard about it, I mean, I was aware of Celebration from the past, but my one of my art directors for a company that I freelance for, Fantasy Flight Games,
Yeah.
uh, she mentioned to me, she was like, "Hey, you do Star Wars work, you should submit to this." And so I looked it up, and so that's step one. Basically, is that you need to be able to show that you have like licensed Star Wars art that you've worked
Right.
within the license before. And
And
so yeah,
and and that licensed work was for Fantasy Flight. Is that what that was? Tell everybody what you were doing to create that licensed work that your art director said you need to do this show now.
yeah. So like back in I think 2010 or 11 was when Fantasy Flight first obtained the licenses to do their like tabletop games and card games they're working on. And so at the time they were using a lot of freelancers to create art for this stuff, which was pretty cool that they were having people paint new artwork
Right.
for these properties instead of just using like screenshots and things. So I had already been kind of working with them for a little bit that year. They brought me on to do Star Wars stuff. And then, I mean, from there, I just kept working with them as they were developing new
Nice.
titles for properties, and that's
Well,
kind of how I got that license work built up.
and that's so then what is that process like? So Fantasy Fight, there's a lot of gameplay there. There's a lot of imagination. Does the art director sort of just give you sort of like a scenario, or do they say, this is exactly what we want, and then you get to sort of like imagine new areas and new worlds?
I mean, it's a little bit of both. I would say the briefs are specific enough that, I mean, they have a pretty good idea of what they're looking for.
Right.
But it's kind of funny that you should ask that because the first commission I got for them was for this Darth Vader card in their card game. It's like the core, like the very first Darth Vader card, and so the brief I got was that it should be Darth Vader, like in a hallway in like a rebel ship or something, and he's
Right.
got his lightsaber out and he's stepping over some troops or something that he's just
Okay.
taken down. And so I ran with that. It seemed specific enough, but as I kind of was playing around with ideas and kind of realized that like what they were asking didn't even really fit well within like a horizontal card format.
Yeah.
Like And so I came back to them and said, guys, this isn't quite working. And I've come across, I actually came across a piece that I think Jerry Vanderstelt had done
Maybe
that was,
maybe his celebration piece.
it might have been, yeah, one of his celebration pieces. But it was literally exactly what they were
Oh,
describing. I'm like, well,
so they knew what they wanted, you know. They wanted
right,
Vanderstelt. And they wanted
right.
Vanderstelt and they hired you. So take that as a compliment, right, Jake?
I do, but at the time it was like, well, I don't want to just do this again. I mean, this has already been done and it's not working. So I asked him, I was like, instead of showing that, how about instead of going after the action, let's see the action. So let's
Right.
get in there as Vader is cutting these guys down, and I can do that horizontal. We can get in close, and so they're like, yeah, I mean, go ahead and try it, and that's what we went with, and so yeah, I mean, there was enough room to kind of go back to them and say, hey, this isn't working. Can we play around with it?
Right.
But for the most part, certain things need to be there for what they're asking
Well,
for.
and see, and that's one of the things that I really love about exploring your artwork because you do some concept artwork as well, where I believe that the way that it works is they kind of say, we need this scenario, we need this layout. Can you just sort of like use your imagination and give us some ideas? Is that how the concept artwork that you do is also works, or where it's a lot more of your interpretation, or are they coming at you again with some real specifics?
It's usually specific enough. I mean, I have room to kind of play with, so if there's like a planet that hasn't really been established too much in like canon materials and stuff, then I have a little room to play around in. But I would say for the most part, they're fairly specific with what they're looking for.
Nice. Well, then let's jump in and talk about your new celebration piece. I'm going to go to another screen where I can take your artwork. Oh my goodness, what is this? I didn't set it up and it was really weird for a second there. I'm going to expand this and get it really big so that we can explore it from the bottom up. So first off, the title of this piece is Scavenger Scrap. Now,
Yeah.
oh, gee, I'm zoomed in a little bit too close there. So, explain to us what's going on, and is this the same sort of like I was trying to set up sort of like this idea of imagination and what's going on in different areas. So, tell us, how did you come up with the idea for this scene with Rey, and what exactly is going on here? You explain to us what you've got, right? What's the
So
story here, man? This doesn't exist anywhere, right? This is just you.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's usually with these kinds of pieces, and with my last celebration piece, I like to do a lot of storytelling.
Right. And just
Uh,
real quick, the last celebration piece was Maul on Tatooine with the Tusken Raiders, and it was called what? Sparring practice or something like that?
yeah, yeah. So
That's terrible. Jake.
I mean, we have to assume he was doing something when he was waiting out
The
there
first
for.
time he went to Tatooine, the second time he went to Tatooine, he was getting killed by Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, yeah. I just
Wait.
watched that.
So
Bummer.
you're using your imagination. You're exploring this new idea. How did this piece sort of like come into existence then?
Yeah. So I mean, my mind immediately goes to the spaces between the movies and like the little moments that uh, could we can all see. It's like, oh yeah, that could have happened, but we've never quite seen it. And it's Rey is a tough girl.
Right.
She knows how to get herself out of a jam. So I wanted to kind of explore what might one of those scenarios have been prior to where we see her in The Force Awakens, and kind of like an everyday life sort of scene for her,
Right.
where if she's out collecting valuable junk, maybe like a rival junker gang or scrapper gang would be after what she's got, and so they're trying to basically run her off the road. And
Nice.
yeah,
Now,
it's kind of a
is
throwback to like
this
speeder
is
bike chasing, pod racing, and all that fun
right,
stuff.
right. This isn't a gang that we know. This is just sort of like a new gang, and they are on sort of the Endor style speeder bikes that we've seen, but they've obviously customized these and stuff like that. Now, for those people who may have just seen the image sort of like online and they didn't quite zoom into it, one of the first things that I noticed is, Ray's got her foot up and she's like pushing away that Raiders, like baton as he's coming after him. So I love the dynamics here. So this took place what, just before the events of the Force Awakens? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or maybe even like a year or two before, or it just at some point, when she's just out doing her thing.
Right. Now,
Um,
now this
yeah.
is this is Star Wars, and so these guys have to have a backstory and names, right? So, what are their names?
Ah.
Okay, so
uh,
here's what we're gonna
Gang
do,
member
right?
number one and gang member number two, but
Right, right. So, what we'll do is we'll have people. So they'll hit you up online. Let me show something else really quick. At Murr_art. That's MURR_art. So hit up Jake online and give him your suggestions for the
yeah,
names
totally.
of these characters. And the one he picks, you get. I don't know. I was going to say you can give him something, but I don't want I don't want to commit to a prize that you have to give something away. Free
I'll
art print.
down.
Jake's going
I'll
to give
figure
you
out
like
the
three
details
free art prints
later.
for the best name, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. Well, we'll iron out the
Right,
details
right. We'll
later.
take care of that offline. Offline, right.
Yeah.
Sorry to bring that up right here in front of everybody. Now,
Uh,
I'm sorry, did you have something to add to that or good?
oh, well, I was just gonna say, in my initial concept for the piece, relating back to like the gang speeder bike gang guys, I had like all these sort of like red flags tied to different parts of junk in the background, and at one point was playing with the idea that in the space between those two, like up above or whatever those are, big ship things,
Right.
that they might have like some sort of netting or barbed something, so that like the whole concept is that they are trying to funnel her into a trap to get her stuff, but
Right.
it compositionally didn't really work out. But that was probably about the most I really thought about who they were at the time.
Well, and with that composition, I really enjoy the way that you've created sort of that negative space at the top. And with that negative space, it helps like bring your eye from the top left of the image all the way down into the battle, right? And we get our first raider there. And then your eye drifts back down that line from the raider and into Ray as well. And so it's amazing. I love that you thought that far ahead to put all of it together.
Thank you.
Now,
Yeah.
when you're doing this work and you're putting it all together, I know that. Well, I imagine with doing a lot of concept art, you have to move very quickly. So, what's the process like for you? Are you a traditional slash digital artist? You all digital? You all traditional? I mean, what are the pieces that you play with to put all of this together? And interesting to me. How long did it take for you to put it together? Because with concept art, you're under some pretty tight deadlines. So, first off, tools, and second off, timeline.
So I would say I'm primarily digital, but my goal is always to try and make it look as traditional as I can. So
Right.
uh, mostly I use the program called Painter, Coral Painter. Um,
That's that 8-bit one that comes loaded onto your Commodore.
I don't know,
Oh,
or
that's
maybe
Paint.
is that Paintbrush?
I was thinking of Microsoft Paint.
Yeah.
That's what you're using. Jake, you are amazing. I can't believe you did this whole thing in Paint.
Oh man, when I was growing up, I used Paint a lot, but no.
Right.
Uh, yeah, so primarily digital.
Right.
As far as like timeline goes, I don't even really consider myself like concept artist. Primarily, what I do is just straight illustration. So there's guys that are way, way, way faster than I am at
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. For this piece in particular, I would say I don't know, anywhere from maybe 20 to 25 hours or so, 30
Yeah.
hours maybe. It, yeah,
That's
it just depends.
that's amazing though. I mean, no matter how long it actually takes to do this, something to consider is that it does take time, and a lot of people will look at an artist and just think about how amazing the piece is and think that everything happens magically. So who knows where you were when the concept hit you, but then there's got to be multiple iterations of those thumbnail drawings to get to the point where we're finally ready to start sort of painting it and putting together, and even taking down the netting and the trap and changing it. I mean, there's hours and hours of time, and then there's hours and hours of just thought and exercise and sort of like refilling that tank of like imagination. You probably had to watch the movie over and over and over again, for all that homework, right?
I mean, that was a given anyway, but yeah.
Now, are you also one of those guys that will go out and buy the action figures and say, "Oh, it's for research. I need to have this toy," and then use that, do you photograph the toys, or anything like that to lay out your artwork?
Uh, if I was smart, I would. I, I, I'm always looking for that toy to use that excuse on. Every now and
Right.
then when I come to Target, but so far I don't have too many toys, and in the case of this, it's mostly just an amalgam of any kind of photo reference I can pull versus just sketching things out over and over until I just like know what it
Right.
looks like and all that stuff.
Well,
But
and that's something else is that, there's such an amazing sort of like attention to detail. You think, oh, it's it's not anything that I've ever seen before. And this is important to me as an artist. I'm looking at your piece and I know all of those elements and I recognize all of the detail in it, but I don't recognize it as a single photo that you've used as one reference. Reference means multiple sort of like angles and shots and putting it all together. And I appreciate that in your artwork, that I see that you've taken the time to know the structures and know the vehicles, but it's not just, a picture that you stabbed on there and then painted it. That's wonderful. I love that aspect. It's just the best.
thanks. Yeah, I try. I strive for that. I mean, sometimes, especially when it comes to like licensed Star Wars work, where you're working with characters that they have to look like the characters.
Right. Well, and
There are times when I've just banged my head against the wall trying to do like an angle we've never seen before of Mark Hamill, who the first time I painted was just a disaster because he's got such a face. But like yeah, so eventually after enough heartbreak, I might just be like, all right, I'm gonna find a photo close enough to what I need, and
right.
this will be what I use. But
Well,
if
then
I can avoid it at all, then I try to. But
So then, with this image of Ray in particular,
mhm.
I know that it goes through an approval process, and that's the other thing that's really important to say about this is that Lucasfilm says yes, this is an official Star Wars art piece. It's part of our Star Wars canon now. Well, I don't know how much is part of canon because of the extra storytelling, but the characters have to look correct. So did you get any feedback on Rey? Did they say, "Oh, I don't remember her looking like this"? Any costume designs? She's got a shoulder pad on there. I don't like off the top of my head remember the shoulder pad. So was there any feedback on that type of elements of the drawing?
No, I didn't get any feedback on that at all.
It was like this, right? Jake, thank you. You
Not
done a
quite.
wonderful job. Put
They're
that thing
busy
up for
guys.
sale.
They usually just say sure.
Now,
But
well, and with that, let's talk about the feedback. So it's my understanding that the process is, that it's sort of like a blind sampling. So, and when I say that, you try and get your art piece as finished as possible. You submit that to Lucasfilm for their approval, and they take everyone's name off of the art piece. They put them up in a room, and then a panel of ILM employees. I don't know if there's people from Acme that go there as well, but Lucasfilm, Disney, they're all in there, and they sort of pick out the ones that they want. So When you submitted your concept, how close was it to being done? Because I know that's sort of like a fret, right? You don't want there to be too much misinterpretation. So did you get it really, really close to being done and then submit it?
Not even close.
Really?
I mean, close enough. I usually try to at least give them a good sense of the color that I'm going to go for, and then have a readable drawing
Right.
with it. But yeah, I mean, at that point, there was a lot of things that kind of changed. Ultimately, composition, everything is the same,
Right,
but
right.
just little details and things that changed as I worked on it, and then it um, definitely fleshed it out a whole lot. Sorry, I keep looking left because I'm like looking at a proof of the print here while I'm talking about it.
You've got it there, right? So when did you get the proof then? Is it just fresh off the presses?
Yeah, I just got it this morning,
Oh
and
man.
so we're doing another proof here just to kind of make sure that
Right.
it's right there, but
And so, and
it
to let everybody know about that, as the printer goes through the process, they want to make sure that their colors match what you expect it to be. And so this is literally your very first artist proof, and that is the test paper, test the colors, make sure that the process is done right, and then all of the other ones will be based off of your approval of this proof. So these are the rare ones because they've got little flaws in them. The colors aren't quite right. I remember I did one with Leia and Vader, and the Rebel troopers were there. And when it first came back, all of the Rebel troopers, the colors of their shirt was like turquoise, and I was like,
yeah,
oh, I can't let that slide because there's
yeah.
some members of the Rebel Legion that are going to hang me out to dry because the colors are wrong on their shirts.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I mean, you have to be really hardcore about that stuff
Right.
sometimes. I was hoping with this one, everything is pretty much the color of sand, and I figured that would be really hard to screw up, but it came out a little bit darker, I think, than
Really?
I,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, but nothing, yeah, nobody's bright green
Yeah.
or anything like that. So
So tell me then, what was it? What was more? What was it? What was? I don't know. I want to gauge your reaction. So you go through this process. It's your second Star Wars sort of like shows, your second submission. Had you submitted prior to the Celebration Anaheim, or was that your first submission and you got in? Is that how it worked?
yeah, yeah, that was my first submission, and it worked out. I was
Yeah, nice. So
super excited.
this is your second time around. Did you start to go, oh, they kind of know me now and things are good, or are you still sort of like fretting? What was it like when you got that message from Lucasfilm that you were approved and you got to be in the art show again?
It, I mean, I definitely felt good. I think going through it the first time, there were less nerves involved, where I kind of, at least about the process, right? Because
Right,
I've
right.
been process, I kind of knew what to expect now. But yeah, I mean, super excited still. Uh, but yeah, at that point, I get the note, and it's like, yes, all right, now I got to go and finish the piece. I got to figure out what I'm going to do all this stuff.
Oh,
And
yay!
so,
Now I get to
yeah,
work. Oh, wait a
yeah,
second. Dang it. I've got my job I've got to do too.
yeah, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, because I mentioned job. This is really a unique opportunity, and I've said this on previous shows, and I want to make sure I say it almost every time. The artists that are involved in the Star Wars Art Celebration Art Show, they're approved artists, and that means that you have a license to create this artwork. But that doesn't mean that you are getting a free ticket. So you pay to show up at the show, you pay to have a table there, you pay to have all of the art prints done, and you have to pay to eat. And so all of
Yeah.
these things, somebody buy this guy a sandwich. I help Jake out a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
the sandwiches.
are you going to be in the art show corral, having a table there in the Acme area, or are you going to venture out and have another booth out on your own?
No, I'll be in the corral this year.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I'm at this point. Well, at this point, I would say I don't have quite enough work that I'm able to sell to really justify like my own booth space outside of
Gotcha.
the Acme area.
Yeah.
But also I'm sure it's just crazy expensive, more so than what it already
Oh
is to
yeah.
be out there.
Booths
So
are pretty expensive for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Now with
Maybe
that,
one.
let's talk about the your art print. So because you're in the corral with the rest of the Acme crew there, that means that your art is currently available on Acme's Dark Ink Art website. And you can go in
Yeah.
and pre-order the art piece now. And the advantage of pre-ordering it means that you don't have to stand in line to like hope that you get it. This is going to be a hot one, I'm sure it is, and that means that you need to get there, grab the print before it's all gone, and oh well, yeah, let's talk about that. What size is this print, and what is the cost of it?
So the print size is 13 by 19.
Okay.
They're going to go for $50 this year.
Excellent. And are you doing any sort of like remark or sketches or anything like that in addition to selling the art print?
I have in the past. I'll probably do that again. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah. It just kind of depends. If people ask, I'll do it. I don't. And I was watching your interview with Matt Bush, and he's got like those squares at the bottom of the print
Right,
for
right.
marks and stuff. It's like, oh, that's such a good idea.
And
So
did you?
I
Oh, I was going to
I
say,
don't have
did you
anything
see
quite
what?
like that, but
I was going to say, did you see what Lindsay did? But Lindsay's video isn't out yet, so she's got another unique little spot to put a remark on there as well. So you'll have to check that out.
yeah.
Now, here's the other question. So you don't have a lot of other licensed artwork that you're going to be selling there. Do you have any of the mall prints that are left over that you have bought back the licensing on so that you can sell those? Are they going to be at the show as well?
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna bring some leftover stock of mall with me too. So
Awesome.
I'll have those. I've also got a painting, a Vader painting that is licensed that I can sell that I'll bring with me as well. So that'll be one original piece that I can
Right.
do something with.
Wait, so the Vader painting is just a one-off painting. It's not art prints. It's just that one painting. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Right, right.
Awesome. Now the other thing that I remember from the booth space is that 50 or 60% of your artwork has to be Star Wars stuff, but you have some some non-limited edition prints that you have on your website that I was checking out, and you've got some of your own original artwork. I can see it behind you. That's the little kid with the when he's blowing in the game cartridge, to get his Nintendo to work.
Yeah, yeah.
So are you gonna?
I'll be bringing some of him with me too.
Awesome. And
I've got two different versions. There's a brown-haired kid, and then there's a blonde-haired kid. So
right, and
whichever kid you were, that's,
and he's on a T-shirt as well, right?
yeah, yeah. I also do T-shirts of him too. So
excellent. Jake, thanks for coming and chatting with me today, and I'm happy to get to know you a little bit better, and I really appreciate your artwork. I'm going to go from bottom to top here and scan in really big on it so people can see it as we're signing off here. Scavenger Scrap by Jake Murray. Limited edition, 250 pieces, available exclusively at the Star Wars Celebration Orlando 2017. An original scene where Rey is fighting off some other scavengers, protecting her scrap on the sands of Jakku. 13 by 19 for $50, available for pre-order now on Dark Ink Art. Grab it now so that Jake can buy a burger when he gets to the show.
I'm so hungry.
So hungry. Help, Jake. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell everybody before we sign off then?
I mean, if you're going to Celebration, I'm looking forward to meeting you. And I mean, I'm super excited.
Awesome.
That's all I can.
And if people want to follow you, is at @Mur_art the best way to do that?
Yeah, I got a Twitter account. That's also the same for an Instagram account that I run. That I tend to post a lot of like preliminary sketches and things. So at some point, I'll probably be posting up preliminaries for this print to kind of show.
Oh yeah.
What it looked like. Yeah.
You could,
Facebook, all
yeah, you
that
could
stuff.
probably do that shortly because I mean the print is out, so you can start to show some of the process and stuff like that too.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
They
awesome.
haven't told us we couldn't, so just gonna run with it.
Well, don't do it because I said you could. You know, listen to those other
Oh
guys
yeah.
that are approving this.
I mean, I'll just blame you, and
Oh,
then
that's fine. That's fine.
yeah.
Well, everybody,
But
thank you again for joining us. I'm Spencer Brinkerhoff III, and this is live from Studios B3. And I think I just cut you off, Jake. What did you want to say?
I was gonna just say thank you, Spencer, because I really appreciate you taking the time to put this on. You know, I'm sure all the artists in the show really appreciate it too. So
Yeah. I'm happy to
yeah.
do it. I'm happy that going through that list, I know all of you guys and you made it in, and I'm super excited for you. And I'm just doing my little bit to help you guys out. So may the
Well,
force
it's
be
great.
with you.
Yeah, and also with you.
Thank you. That's the natural response, isn't it?
Right.
All right, Jake, we'll talk soon. Thanks, buddy.
All right, take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.